One Piece, chapter 946. I always say it, so-and-so is the best chapter of Wano. I think I've said it for like literally every review that I've done so far, but this is definitely the best friggin' chapter. I mean, come on. Until it is surpassed, of course. I'll probably be saying it in next week, but wow, I love this one so much. I got my boys, Sundown Rider and Grim. We're going to be talking about this. Sundown, I'll let you start off. Your thoughts on Big Mom's big beatdown of Queen.
Man, I'm not gonna lie. People will say what people will say. Grim will probably roast me for this, but I'm a little bit disappointed in our boy Queen. I felt like he could have put in a little bit more. I know it's Big Mom. She's a Yonko, and Yonkos should be able to absolutely dominate their respective commanders. But I don't know. I just get the feeling like if it was Ben Beckman versus Shanks, would Shanks just one-shot him, two-shot him, or would it actually be slightly competitive with Shanks having the obvious advantage, but not so obvious that it's like two shots? I feel like there should have been some competition, maybe a hit or two here. Nothing that destabilizes or knocks out Big Mom. Was at least competitive or didn't make Queen look like such a shit character. He just got two shots. So like I'm kind of disappointed, but at the same time I'm aware that there should be this difference between Big Mom and anyone at that like commander level.
All right, Grim, I know that you have so much stock in Big Mom. This is definitely showing that paying off. So let me know what you think about this.
You already know, man. Strongest Yonko out here doing the thing. I wasn't surprised by this outcome. I was actually kind of upset, just like Sundown was, but on the opposite end. I know, just like you mentioned, that sometimes people have a negative perception of Whole Cake, that Big Mom got tossed around or she let a bunch of stuff happen to her on her island, and that's all in the past. We can definitely address it and have our own discussion about that. But one thing that we also did see in that same arc was Smoothie Komput, one of the older sisters of Big Mom, or older daughters of Big Mom, Katakuri himself, Mondor, and an entire collection of all the civilians, all the fighters, all the ministers on the archipelago running from Big Mom in an enraged state. So to me, it was pretty clear that there shouldn't be any individual that's not an admiral or even a Yonko to take on Big Mom by herself. And that's probably going to be the same for any other Yonko. So I wasn't surprised whatsoever whenever Queen got manhandled like this. It was actually pretty impressive. And I thought, just like Sundown said, that, to hype up Queen and Kaido's commanders, that he was going to get right back up and do something cool before he get defeated. But that wasn't the case. So I'm not surprised by that outcome. What did get me upset is some of the scaling comparisons that we have to make now. Not only in the same chat, immediately after that happened, Luffy's out there dodging Big Mom like nothing with a collar on. And he's a prisoner. Sure, he worked hard to, earn his food as a kid, and he's been doing a bunch of training and stuff like that to improve himself in that time period. But I don't think it makes sense for a guy who's been locked up in jail to be doing better than one of the wardens. Are we to imply that Luffy's stronger than Queen somehow already? That's the part that I'm kind of pissed about, because it kind of feels like Oda once again is giving everything to Luffy or adding things to Luffy. I don't think that a few days worth of training inside of a prison, learning a little bit of Haki from one of the great teachers around you, is enough to bridge a gap amongst a bunch of commanders. If Katakuri and his crew have to run from Big Mom, I think Luffy should as well.
Yeah, this is like a Naruto level power up that Luffy's receiving here. Such a short amount of time, he's grown another level, or at least it appears that he has. He even looks to be a little buffer. I mean, he did look big when we saw him in the sumo match, but he really looks like the biggest he's ever been in this one panel.
God, Diesel, bro.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, Luffy has never been that kind of character. He's always been lanky, the rubber man, but now he's like buff rubber man. But that's fine. Maybe it's signifying that he has grown.
It's that jail.
Yeah, it's that jail workout. It does do that.
The other thing that kind of disappoints me a little bit about Queen is, like, we've seen from Luffy, one of the biggest aspects of Luffy since the beginning has always been his fighting prowess, his intelligence and genius in fighting. And then you have the Yonko, who are meant to be, well, they could be almost, they all have their different aspects, but they're meant to be fighters, especially people like Queen, King, Kaido, who look the part. They should at least have some baseline knowledge of the other Yonko. Like, if I see I'm aware he's able to do something like this, or Blackbeard. So I feel like Queen should have known that Big Mom is known to be this incredibly powerful, just absolute tank. So Queen then proceeds to turn into a Brachiosaurus, making himself the largest freaking target you could dream of, and proceeds to go to Pound Town. So I just think, once again, it's not a really intelligent move by Queen, who should be in a position where he could make intelligent decisions, but I'm not too sure about how much they know about other Yonko within their kind of power levels and things like that.
So that brings us to the big portion, or the other big portion of this chapter, and it's Luffy's development in Haki. So we actually kind of see this thing that Luffy does where he's able to remove the collar. It's and I'm sure you guys know where I'm going here. Back in Sabaody, Rayleigh did this to remove the collar from the fishman girl.
Came.
Yeah, she has like that exploding collar on her neck. And even Rayleigh had it on his, and the giant dude had it on his neck too. But then when we saw Rayleigh introduced for, I think the first or second time, they made notice of him not having the collar anymore, and the giant didn't have the collar. And then we saw him just remove it from Kane. But at that time, we didn't know what the hell was going on, because we didn't know what Haki was. We just thought Rayleigh was beyond reality. At the time, I thought he was just moving super fast, like so fast that he was removing it that it didn't have a chance to explode. But now it seems like he might have just been using an advanced form of Haki, and I think that's what Luffy is doing here. I think he's just using some kind of just advanced level of Haki, because that's what this whole training has been about. He's trying to learn the Sentamaru force push, the same thing that we saw the admirals do at Marineford. Sundown, what's your take on this whole sequence of Luffy removing the collar?
Well, first off, I was super impressed by seeing him do that. Straight flashbacks to Rayleigh, but I was also really confused because I don't know how this Haki is developing. I don't know what direction or which direction it's taking. I thought it was going to be more along the lines of this force kind of push thing, but then again, he was also learning this to bypass Kaido's tough scales. So I assumed it would be some sort of Haki element that would allow him to, upon contact with something, transmit a greater force beneath the surface of something. But this didn't really seem to sit in that type of Haki, so I'm not sure what it is. This seemed to be more of a speed feat, and I'm not sure why Hyogoro was so shocked, or why they haven't tried to do this before, unless it was the speed element that they felt Luffy was lacking. And the only kind of question that came up to me was, were the collars made of Kairoseki? Were they made of sea stone, or were they?
I was just going to ask that. Grim, do you know?
If the ones on their neck, I'm not sure exactly. I don't think they were, because they didn't have the same consistency, and they're able to use their fruits just fine.
Yeah, that's a good point, because they had the shackles, which were Kairoseki, but I don't think their collars were. So yeah, I don't think it ties into the form of Haki which I thought we were going to see, but I'm open ears for whatever Haki is explained by Oda.
Well, the only reason I say it's Haki because we clearly see his arm get coated in armament when he grabs it. So
yeah.
But Grim, go ahead. What's your take on what's happening?
It's exactly as you put it. This is another technique of Haki. We previously got another update for Haki in the second stage armament that was revealed that Katakuri can use, and I think it was alluded to that Jinbei's shark skin is also an equivalent of the second form of Haki. We also got the introduction of foresight, another form of observation. So as we already know, there's Conquerors, observation, and armament, and those two seem to be the progression as we go along, which makes sense. The tougher the fruits, the tougher the people who can control their fruits in different manners. So we're gonna need a different way to use Haki than just in the base form. Being able to hit people isn't enough anymore at this high level. So it seems like this new technique, as you referenced, was previously shown with Sentamaru, who's a master of it. It seems to be incredibly tough just by using it. The admirals use it to deflect one of Whitebeard's quake attacks to the air, so we know it can affect fruits in a long-range aspect as well, or at least attacks from fruits. And I personally can't explain what the concept is as to how this is working. Maybe it's like turning off the detonation, or there's no possible way I can explain that. I don't know how touching metal or touching an explosive device is gonna stop it from detonating all the time, or get it off without it possibly getting off appropriately. It's more of like one of those Oda things, because if I remember correctly, it told us that the spikes were going to come out and cut their heads off. He's basically telling us that by having sufficient Haki in a trained manner, you can turn off a chain like that. It's fine. It's not really a big issue, and he always does a good job of explaining. So as long as it's consistent with that, there's not going to be a problem with it. But what I'm like super excited to see, and kind of pissed if it happened, is the I don't know if they've given it a proper name yet, but the air pushing technique, as we were talking about before, it's basically here for that right now. I don't think Luffy's gonna be training or testing out the thing that he used to get the collar off against Big Mom. It's probably gonna be that. And I'm not sure exactly how we're supposed to express that, if that's going to be a form of armament or just a miscellaneous technique that Haki users can learn once they depart. I don't know what category we should put it under. As far as the chain thing on the neck, that's to be seen next chapter.
So we'll come into the final part of this video, and it's basically just predictions of Luffy and Big Mom's encounter. So, as we saw at the end of the chapter, Big Mom is, coming after Luffy, and because, he ate the Oshiruku, and Hyogoro is purposely risking his life on the bet that Luffy is going to be able to save them from whatever Big Mom's doing with this new form of Haki, which I assume is what he is doing, because he puts up double Haki hands, and, based off of what we saw with the collar, we could assume that he's doing the same thing here, and this advanced form of Haki is somehow... I'm not going to say it's going to completely reflect Big Mom, because if it does, that's outrageous. What do you guys think? Your predictions of what is going to happen between Big Mom and Luffy here?
Well, I'm hoping Luffy, Hyogoro says it here, the best way to learn, or he says something like, your talent will essentially bloom, or hard work blooms when you're backed into a corner. So only your true power will show then. So I feel that's a really good way of essentially getting Luffy to learn. He's sparring a Yonko in order to learn how to defeat a Yonko. But I'm hoping Oda doesn't do something which I feel is stupid, which has the Luffy deflecting all of Big Mom's attacks and shit like that. That would be really bad and really stupid. So I'm hoping Luffy gets quite heavily messed up. Nothing really dangerous where he's bleeding his guts out and stuff like that, but where he takes quite a bit of damage, but along the way he's learning and he's gaining the feel for this new form of Haki, so that he can at least activate it at will. Not necessarily in an incredibly strong fashion, but he can at least activate it whenever he wants to, and then gain that kind of sense for it. But there were people in the comments and stuff like that saying Luffy may deflect one of Big Mom's attacks. I hope he gets at least one successful deflection. But if he does and Big Mom punches herself in the head or something like that, then people are kind of theorizing that she'll regain her memories because of that.
Wow.
Like you were saying too, I'm not sure exactly how the destruction of the prison is going to go. I really think it should work in tandem how you were speaking about it before Sundown, how Luffy in the next chapter dodging Big Mom continuously should help cause more destruction underneath them. Oda referenced the commotion in the area twice this chapter, both by having us zoom out to see the entire prison and the noise that was being thrown out from everywhere. You could hear it from far away. And actually, Karibu and Raizo mentioned that I don't know what this distraction is, but it's working. So that Big Mom rampaging could actually turn out to assist in a bunch of different variables. Like you already pointed out, maybe she hits herself, gets her memory back. Maybe destroying the prison helps them release a lot of the prisoners, as we're pointing out. It could spiral into a lot of different things. I'm so happy. Well, I'm not happy, but I'm kind of upset that the snails, as they've explained in this chapter, aren't going to let Kaido come here and deal with Big Mom. I was kind of looking forward to a conversation like that, but I guess Oda's saving that for later on. Maybe it'll happen next chapter to where they get the phone lines up and they are able to contact Kaido. But as far as I'm predicting, I think Luffy's just going to dodge Big Mom a lot, help free the prisoners by bringing down the floor underneath them, and then she'll get her memory back somehow. Hopefully it's not by Luffy hitting her. Hopefully it's not by Luffy redirecting her. Hopefully it's just there's some more food there at the bottom. She gets it and then she falls asleep or something like that. Gets her memory back.
That's plausible too. I like both theories actually. But that's pretty much it for the discussion today. Let me know what you guys think in the comments, because you usually always do. And if you like the video, please give it a like. And please check out Sundown Rider's channel. He's coming back for reviews soon. Please check out Grimm's channel. Links will both be in the description. And other than that, have a great day. See you in the next one.